All eyes were on Trevor Lawrence in this one. He looked good. The knee looked pretty good. Jacksonville has now gone 11-3 over the last 14 regular season games. We don't talk a lot about Jacksonville. Is it time for us to maybe be taking the Jags a little more seriously?
You know, Kara, after tonight, and I understand they have a great record, I think, in their last 14, but my answer would be no. I mean, you think of contenders in the AFC, you think of the Chiefs, you think of the Dolphins, you think of the Bills when they're playing well, which that's a whole nother conversation. But you look at the Jags tonight, this had the making of a blowout. I mean, on it early, they have their foot on their gas, everything's firing, and they let this team back into the game. Again, right off the bat here, we have a punt issue. You're up 14-3 in the second quarter. The Saints couldn't do anything. This is Pee Wee style football. You're covering a punt. This is the NFL. This should never happen. There's a 15-yard penalty. And it just got worse and worse and worse. This was a strange thing. We're now in the fourth. You're up 8 points. The Saints have not driven the ball once. What is this fourth down play? I mean, Lawrence has his hand on his back. They get stuffed. It was insane. And then they go 3 plays, the Saints. 3 plays for 53 yards. They hadn't moved the ball all night, Kara. And it's like you go 4th and 1, and my head says, punt the ball and make Derek Carr in this awful offense at that time drive 90 yards to tie this game up and get a 2-point conversion. Instead, you run this 4th and 1 out of the shotgun inside zone that gets crushed. I'm not sure. I've never really seen, because it wasn't a zone read.
Yeah.
And then you give up 53 yards in 3 plays. So are they a good team? Yes. But if you're asking me, are they a contender, a playoff? Like, could this team get out of the AFC and be the representation? Cincinnati's looking good. I should throw them in there.
Sure.
I can't see it with the amount of mistakes that they make.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Jacksonville does moving forward. They got the Steelers up next. That's always an up-and-down team as well. Now, on the Saints side, on multiple occasions, we saw Derek Carr just giving it to his teammates. Does this kind of give you an indication of the state of the Saints right now?
Yes, it does, Kara. I was shocked. I spent some time with Derek Carr when they were in Oakland. And obviously quarterbacks have to, be a little aggressive at times. But tonight was something I have never really seen. I mean, he was beyond frustrated. And rightfully so. Here he's expecting Kamara to break this off. So he's mad about that. It was a 2nd and 20, trying to get a few yards back. The strange one that's coming up here is Olave just stops running. This is a fade route. He wants to take it. Olave just completely gave up on this route. And he's mad. But to me, you go a little further here. There were so many moments, Kara, where he looked frustrated. And I didn't really see the receivers responding. And that's what scares me.
He's lost the room a little bit?
He's lost the room a little bit. And to me, I have a feeling, again, just a hunch here, that there are probably some finger pointing at him in the room, and he returned the favor tonight on primetime television. And let me just say, that is never good. When the finger pointing gets out there in the locker room, it does not end well.
I feel bad for Derek Carr because this wasn't all on him. We just saw his receivers' heads weren't in the game either. Moreau at the end, that could have been a game-saving touchdown, and yet the conversation is bound to start. Should we start talking about replacing Derek Carr with Jameis Winston? And
it's a great conversation to have, and it's one that you also have to take off the field. And what I mean by that is we talked about the locker room, and you can talk about Carr's play, and it's very hot and cold. Early on in this game, it looked very, very poor. And there's a lot of reasons. It's not just on him, like you said. But then all of a sudden, you look at his final stat line, he threw for 301 yards. 33, I think, for 50 or 55. They got a couple TDs in there. He did have the bad pick. So the later in the game, he made some plays. He can make plays with his legs. But when I say off the field, remember, Derek Carr is a cap hit next year, no matter what they do with him, for $35 million. So if you're the Saints, you got to look at it like this is not a Super Bowl ready team. Are you really going to switch to Jameis Winston, who maybe is a little better right now, but now all of a sudden your front office looks like buffoons because you're paying someone $35 million who's potentially not going to play, and you're stuck with a huge price tag for somebody on the bench, and nobody is going to take Derek Carr at that price if he's been benched.
It's interesting. I feel like you and I are always talking about quarterbacks that put up a lot of stats and just can't get it done.
Don't say it, Kara.
Oddly like Kirk Cousins.
Don't say it. Different league, different league.